Hey everybody, Alex Kazora, SteelersDepot.com back with some Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Steelers have set their initial 53-man roster right at Tuesday's 4 p.m. deadline. Let's talk about who is currently on the roster. A reminder, a disclaimer, this thing is fluid. It can and almost certainly will change based on the current construction of it, with players being maybe traded for, or more likely, waiver claims and ads and things like that. So don't anticipate or expect this roster to be where it is right now. I'm going to put up a photo of what the roster looks like at the moment, and then we'll just kind of talk about each position group throughout this video. Quarterback, they kept three, and those three are obvious: Ben, Rudolph, and Haskins. Josh Dobbs placed on IR, so his season will end, barring some sort of injury settlement. And so those are the three. The Steelers are keeping Ben, Mason, and Dwayne Haskins. No surprises there. At running back, there was definitely some discussion and debate, at least for me, and I think with a lot of Steeler fans, of who would be kept. Would they keep four? If they kept only three, who would be the third? Ultimately, though, they keep four. It's Najee Harris, Anthony McFarland, Benny Snell, and Kalen Balaj. Balaj to me was the better player than Snell, especially as an actual running back this summer and just overall. But both carry, I think, a fair amount of special teams value. Snell probably a bit more so than Balaj, and Tomlin's always been a big fan of Benny Snell, and fullback Derek Watt kept as well. No surprise there. Wide receiver, same thing, no surprises with the five they kept. That's Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, James Washington, and Ray McLeod. Really no one competing for that sixth spot. Could this change on a waiver claim? Potentially with McLeod, I suppose, but I think he's going to be safe. Tight end, the three they kept was Eric Ebron, Pat Firemouth, and Zach Gentry. Gentry versus Kevin Rader was the battle for that third spot. Gentry beat out Rader, played ahead of him consistently throughout the preseason, and definitely improved a bit throughout the summer. To me, again, I liked Rader more, but I thought they would go with Gentry, and they did. So far, it's been pretty chalk. Offensive line, though, gets interesting. Currently only keeping eight. And again, recording this just shortly after the roster cuts were announced about a half hour ago. So the guys they're keeping: an offensive tackle, Chuck Wilmacore, Zach Banner, Dan Moore Jr., Joe Haig. Interior offensive line is Kevin Dotson, Kendrick Green, Trey Turner, and J.C. Hassenauer. That means that both B.J. Finney and Rashad Coward have been cut. I had Coward off my 53. I had them keeping B.J. Finney, but both guys have been cut. So that almost certainly means, with literally very little depth on this team right now, only one backup interior offensive lineman in Hassenauer. They're going to have to find someone else. They obviously cannot go into a season with just those guys for injury and for depth and for game day actives and things like that. So they should and will probably add somebody. Again, interior offensive line, looking guard or center. Had kind of really profiled that. Dave Bryan and myself about free safety, slot corner, and that interior offensive line being the places this team probably should look to add, and I think they will. Defensively, it gets kind of crazy with the defensive line currently keeping eight. So they just kept everybody. I mean, it was Bugs, it was Davis, it was Loudermilk, and even Henry Mondo getting on the roster as well. I think all eight guys have played well this summer. So definitely the position of strength, as we've talked about. And so for now, all eight being kept. Obviously, Stephon Tuitt's situation is up in the air right now. Could even go on IR, miss the first three games of the season. I suppose that's possible. So we'll see. But this team keeping their strength and keeping all eight for now. Do want to mention they probably won't have eight on the 53 for week one when they go to Buffalo, but at the moment, that is where things lie. Outside linebacker keeping four: TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Melvin Ingram, and Jameer Jones. So Jones beats out Cassius Marsh and rookie Quincy Roche. Roche, the only rookie not to make the team. And Jones deserved it. He had as good of a camp as possible, six tackles on special teams to lead the Steelers and lead the NFL. And so he deserves to make the spot. Hopefully he stays there. Two-star skipper made it a couple years ago, then got cut 24 hours later. So we'll see, but I think Jones will be safe. Inside linebacker, Devin Bush, Joe Schobert, Robert Spillane, Buddy Johnson, Marcus Allen, and UG3. UG3 is the big surprise here. His camp was really poor. One of the more disappointing players in camp that I watched. Maybe he's being kept because of Marcus Allen having that hamstring injury he suffered in the finale against Carolina. So the potential injury protection there. And of course, again, this roster situation is fluid with the O-line. We'll talk about the secondary here in a second. And so UG3's time could be short, but we'll see. Definitely a big surprise to see him make it. At corner, just four for now: Joe Hayden, Cam Sutton, James Pierre, and Justin Lane. So that means Arthur Millette. Bit of a surprise there, although his camp was pretty average to below average, and he battled an ankle injury causing him miss basically the last two games. Got hurt in that game three versus Detroit pretty early in that one. So certainly going to need to add here some sort of slot corner piece. Even if Sutton is going to be the starter in nickel, which he should be inside in the slot, they're going to have to add depth here. They certainly could look for someone to be a starter, but trying to find that guy on the waiver wire is tough to do. So hopefully this team has Sutton inside, Pierre at right cornerback, and nickel. We'll see what happens. And for safeties, Minka Fitzpatrick, Terrell Edmonds, Miles Killebrew, and Trey Norwood. No big surprises there. Norwood, to me, not ready to play day one. but had played well enough to make the 53. And I think he has some long term potential for this team. And your specialist kicker, Chris Boswell. That one was a layup, obviously, but the specialist in terms of the punter, long snapper, with a big question mark. But they're going with the new guys: Presley Harvin III, the rookie, and Christian Kuntz. That's Harvin beating out Barry, and Kuntz beating out veteran Cameron Canaday. So that's been the pairing there. I thought, Harvin. I gave Harvin the slight edge, 60-40% odds to make it over Barry. That's what happens. I put Kuntz on my roster over Canaday, although both battles to me were tremendously close, and I could definitely see Barry and Canaday punting and snapping elsewhere this season. So again, that is the current formation of the Steelers 53. Things can and will change. I promise you, this will not be the same 53 that they will take to Buffalo. You can definitely see movement with the O line and the secondary, and that's going to come at the expense of probably places where they're heavy, like inside linebacker, off-ball linebacker, and defensive line as well, carrying 8 defensive linemen and currently carrying 6 off-ball linebackers. So things will change. Let me know in the comments who you want to see be brought in. Carl Joseph was released by the Raiders. That could be an option. Nate Hairston by Denver. Not sure on the offensive line. Maybe Matt Skura, who's in Miami, former Baltimore Raven, who had a really strong career before some really devastating knee injuries have set him back. But going to see more movement for sure. So do not anticipate this roster being the roster heading into week 1. But it is where it sits today at 53. Practice squad will get formed by tomorrow. 16-man group. A lot of guys cut today. Should fall on their feet and land there. So let me know if you guys have any other comments or questions in the comment section before. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.